Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final video to talk about another hypothesis test that's fair game for the Unit 3 test that we're going to do. Please be aware that these videos aren't exactly the same problems that are going to be on the test. Anything from the homework is fair game for the test. And with all these problems here, these are just good examples of right tail, left tail, and two tail tests. And we're here to see our last example, which is going to be from Chapter 9, Section 3, looking at dependent groups, where the before and after of the group really matters. So this is a group that we've given some people some weight loss drug, and we're trying to see if this has a significant drop in weight. So you'll see that the before and after is all set up here. Now, the null hypothesis in any of these groups is when the average, the difference of their averages is 0, because the null hypothesis is going to say, oh, the averages are going to be the same. Well, you can kind of see that in this case the weight loss drug is having some significant effects. It did go up for the weight did go up for patient number 5, and patient number 3's weight stayed exactly the same, which goes to play into this. But the alternative hypothesis is going to say, no, the weight loss drug is having some effect. But you have a little bit of play right now. You have a little bit of choice whether you want this to be greater than 0 or less than 0. I think a lot of people, since they're reading the significant drop in weight, they're going to want this to be less than 0. But keep that in mind that if you do that, then you're going to have to make sure that most of these numbers are going to be negative for your play. So that means you're going to have to go 90 minus 100, or after minus before. And after minus before gives you negative 10. This 80 minus 110, this is going to give you negative 30. 100 minus 100 is 0. I don't need to rewrite that. 85 minus 90 is going to be, did that right. 85 minus 90 is negative 5. And here, the person whose weight actually got a little worse, 90 minus 85 is going to be 5. So we're going to denote a positive number for gaining weight and a negative number for, a positive number for gaining weight and a negative number for losing weight. So we want to have all of these numbers, whoops, 110, not 100. We want to have all of these numbers negative if possible. And we see that out of this group of 6 people, 4 out of the 6 people did drop weight, and we have those as negatives. Now, it is possible somebody said, well, I just subtracted, this and this and this and this and this and got 4 positives, 1 negative, and 1 0. Then you would want to have the mu sub d be greater than 0 because that's going to fit, your data as you subtracted them. So the order in which you subtract is really your choice. But then that kind of, either the tail wags the dog here about your data telling you which way you should have your left or right tail, or you should choose the tail of the test and then do your subtraction. And by the way, the tail wag the dog pun was completely not intentional, even though we are talking about a right tail test. Groan. All right, so let's look at, oh, I said right tail. I mean left tail. Haha. I was basking in the glow of my own cleverness there. So we've got a left tail test, so our critical value with 6 groups and 5 degrees of freedom, because degrees of freedom is n minus 1, so that would be 6 minus 1 or 5. We're going to look at 5 on our t-chart, and we're going to use the t-chart for all of these before and after, since I'm never going to give you more than 30 pieces of data here. So we're going to look at 5, and then we're going to scroll to the right to the column underneath the 1 tail alpha of 10%. And so my critical value is going to be negative 1.476. And you have to put the negative there because this is a left tail. If you chose right tail, you would have had a positive 1.476, but this is left tail, so it's negative 1.476. All right, let's go down here. All right, and this will give me a chance to write down, I'm going to kind of just like I did before in the previous videos. For part B, we found the critical value was negative 1.476. We are going to now type in actually not type, but we're going to, well, actually, yes, we're going to type into list 1 the differences, because what we need is we need the average, and that's an L1 here. L1. This is on the calculator. You'll type this into list 1, the -10, the -30, the 0, the -5, the +5, and the -5 again. So we type this into list 1, these 6 data points, and we do our one variable stats, which is stat write 1 enter, and we get our x bar. In this case, it's going to be our d bar. Our average of all the differences is going to be -7.5. So on the whole, these 6 people lost an average of 7.5 pounds on the drug. We're now going to get our standard deviation, which we label as our S sub d, and we go to the calculator and use the uppercase letter S of x, and we find out the standard deviation is 12.1. So 12.1 away from our average. So now we're going to apply our formula, which is going to be our mu sub d minus 0. And it's always going to be minus 0 after that. So mu sub d is going to be -7.5 minus 0 according to the formula on our formula chart, divided by the standard deviation of 12.1 divided by the square root of the sample size 6. If we do this carefully, we get an answer of -1.52. So here's our 0 on our left tail test. We're going to have a shaded zone here, and this is going to be created by our critical value. The critical value is -1.476. Now our test value is just barely on the other side of it at -1.52, but it is inside, so we're going to reject the null hypothesis. And that's good, because that means that this drug is working. It is helping people lose weight. So why? Well, since our -1.52 is less than -1.476, and I could have flipped that around and flipped the symbol around too. Since 1.52 is less than -1 and 476 thousandths, we will reject the null hypothesis. All right, so thank you very much for watching. And if you've stayed through the other 5 videos, big thanks there, and good luck on this test. And I really appreciate your hard work and effort.